Now before we begin the documentary, I want to thank everybody who was a part of this, who really helped me out. I mean, it was a really big help. Even if it was the most minor of things, it still helped this thing become a possibility. Also, I'd like to thank a YouTuber called Emperor Lemon, because he really inspired me to do this, and I never thought I would have this done ever. But as this goes on, while I'm filming this, it's going from race 3 of the season all the way to the final race of the season, and I can't wait to tell you how it all ends. With that being said, enjoy the documentary. Have a good one. Since the dawn of man, we have always tried to find a way to be faster than our fellow counterparts, and no way have we found this feat than in auto racing. Strangely enough, auto racing provides such a unique skill and talent that other sports don't, where you need knowledge and somewhat of a bit of strength to continue the race. If you have none of these, well, you just puddle around the track while you get whacked. Now, nowhere does this suit it more than in the American South, where stock car racing was formed from bootleggers who wanted to see who had the fastest car after the moonshine days were over. And what ended up happening was quite unique, and something we probably won't see again, what formed NASCAR at the beaches of Daytona. But there is one place where I feel that racing has really come together and isn't talked about. That's in the great north of Canada. Doucette Motorspeedway was founded in the 1990s, and it was just originally a place for the owners. It was originally a place for the original owner's son just to have fun at. It wasn't supposed to be this big track that was going to garner as many fans as it does. But out of nowhere, the Speedway got popularity, and so they ended up selling tickets to the Speedway. Then instead of just racing dirt bikes around there, they went up to cars, and then the dirt track ended up getting banking. The banking proved to be too fast, so they knocked it down. It would be years until we see the banking once again reach the track, and when we saw it in a more unique way in 2005, as the track would then be introduced to asphalt racing. Many of the old racers who have started racing on dirt find it a much more challenging feat to be racing on something they had no idea what to do. And so a lot of people ended up going over Nova Scotia Speed World up in Halifax to gain more experience. People still go there to this day, even though it's much different. At the height of it, when the super weight models were coming to the track ended up reaching speeds of 120 miles an hour down the backstretch. However, hard times would strike the Speedway, as in 2008, the economy would crash.
This is an extraordinary period for America's economy. Over the past few weeks, many Americans have felt anxiety about their finances and their future. I understand their worry and their frustration. We've seen triple-digit swings in the stock market. Major financial institutions have teetered on the edge of collapse, and some have failed. As uncertainty has grown, many banks have restricted lending. Credit markets have frozen, and families and businesses have found it harder to borrow money. We are in the midst of a serious financial crisis.
Signs were everywhere, but now it's official. We are in a recession. The research group that makes that determination made it today and said the recession actually started a year ago. But the question now, when will it end?
On the NASDAQ with Scott Walker. Scott?
All right, Mary, thanks so much. And just a note on those circuit breakers, just want to point out here that the NASDAQ does use the same circuit breaker as the NYSE in case there was any question regarding that. NASDAQ, as we said, fully open, down 6%. That is a loss of 100 points. Just let me also point out that the Friars Club did the open this morning. I don't know if it's a good morning for a laugh or not. Perhaps we all are going to need one after the day today.
Coverage now on the growing financial crisis. Yesterday, the House rejected the $700 billion bailout plan
plan sending shockwaves through Wall Street.
This is going to be one of the watershed days in financial markets history.
It was a manic Monday in the financial markets. The Dow tumbled more than 500 points after two pillars of the street tumbled over the weekend. Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old firm, filed for bankruptcy.
I don't think anyone really expected a bank as big as Freeman to, be in a position that it's in now.
They shut the track down in 2008, 2009.
Through them 2 difficult years, the life of short tracks in Canada, America, and other countries sat still. Everybody didn't know what would happen. These short track racers didn't have big sponsors that could support them through this. They just had jobs, and some of them lost their jobs. So sitting there wondering what's going to happen was probably the most difficult thing for the racers and the race fans. But the track would end up reopening. It would end up coming back, and they knew what they had to do. The track owner, who wasn't getting any younger, didn't want to do this for the rest of his life. So he ended up signing a deal with the Southwest Stock Car Association. They would end up restarting the track and managing all the events, and that deal still stands today, and the Southwest Stock Car Association isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And now, I want to talk about one thing that suits racing the most. The thing that everybody talks about, and is the most appeal to racing, people will say.
Haley on that outside line, top of 3. He's got some help with him. Into the wall they go. The 11 now also.
Now this isn't often occurrence at super speedways. In this specific clip it was raining, which doesn't often happen during a race, but we often do see a wreck heading into a turn, because somebody's pushing too aggressively or somebody gets loose and then the other person can't check up quick enough. At short tracks, you have this bottleneck effect that you would in the turns of super speedways, but instead of the turns at the short tracks, it is actually everywhere. Down the straightaways you have a narrow gap and you can't really get through. And so it will cause big wrecks like this one you'll see in the 2021 NASCAR Martinsville race. This wreck actually was a huge thing and you couldn't avoid it. This is an often occurrence when it comes to these types of racing. You'll be all the way in the back racing for whatever position, and then the people ahead of you will wreck and you won't have a way of avoiding it unless you're so far back you can check up in time. But if you're in the middle of everybody, even if you do check up in time, you may get hit from the rear because somebody else didn't. This is just an often thing in racing. Yeah, that just happened. So this may be the closest finish in track history. Now, the track doesn't have electronic timing or scoring, so we don't know how much. But looking at this, it looks like they went over the line just hundreds of a second past each other, maybe even thousands. That's the crazy thing about this. Now, I wasn't able to gain any other footage of this, so I can't see any other angles as it wasn't on. And apparently, the 81 came out on top. With the 81 coming out on top is a pretty insane thing, because he was running second most of the race. Looked to be fast, but not fast enough until the final corner where he made everything happen. Now, many people will say that short tracks are fun and they provide interesting racing. But others will ask you what you're talking about. They don't provide nearly as much action as Daytona and Talladega. No matter which way you slice it, racing is always dangerous, exciting, and chaotic. Stuff like this needs to be looked at so safety can be improved, so that we hope to never have an accident like this again. As the season comes to a close, we see 3 champions crowned at Lake Doucette Motorspeedway. The defending champion and now the reigning champion, Isaac Camo, clinches the championship long before the end of the season, but now he is officially the champion. Colin Boudreau in the V8 stock would end up getting the championship win, to not much of a surprise as he was a pretty good car that year. In the sportsman division, we had the 47 of Kyle Haynes end up clinching the championship by 2 points at the end of the year. All of these drivers had ups and downs. Some of them had a dominant race, while others just coasted to a victory. This is what racing is. Racing is just making it. You don't have to win every race. You could win 99 of the races, but if you end up wrecking out one, the guy who's second, who is right behind you, may have a chance to strike. Now the documentary is ending soon, with only driver interviews coming up next. And before you leave, I would like to say one thing. I'd like to thank you all for watching. It's really helped me and everything I can do. Even if it's only 20 of you guys, it is interesting. I'm trying to get into film school and I want to prove that I can do something, and although it may not seem much, this is my first attempt at making a documentary, and I sat there to myself at the end and I'm like, yeah, maybe I can do it. That's what I hope. Maybe I can do it. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the video. I hope you enjoy. So how long have you been racing here?
I've been racing here for 2 years.
I'm in the sportsman class 2 years, but I started racing here when they first built the track when it was dirt.
I've raced here since probably 2002.
It's my 9th year this year, so I've been racing since I was 16.
I've been racing here for 4 years.
This has been the 4th year.
And how has your season been going?
The season's been going good. Second in points right now, only 1 point ahead of third. And it's been going pretty good. No major breakdowns. Last year I had a lot of breakdowns. So.
Yeah. In these last 3 races, do you think you're going to be a contender for the championship?
I hope so.
Yeah.
The leader's a little bit ahead of us, so
yeah.
At least 2nd place, hopefully 2nd or 3rd I'd like to try to make, but we'll see how today goes.
So far it's been pretty good. We've got 3 points races left. We'll see where we end up at the end.
Right now I'm number 1 in the points. I mean,
oh, that's good.
It's hard to get there, but it's also hard to stay there. So
in the 4 cylinders, you have Isaac Camo, you have Michael Cameron, you have Douglas Townsend, you have JJ McPhee. Those 4 there will probably be your top guys. But now JJ had some problems in a couple of races. He blew a couple of engines, so he's back in the points. I don't know if he'll be able to get caught up. But then you definitely have Isaac and Michael and Douglas. V8 stocks, there's always the same guys. Sean Burke is always strong. Colin Boudreau has picked it up lately. He's been running well. Glenn Muse, he's always up there as well. So those 3 guys. And even Ian DeVille won a feature race this year. So any one of those guys could win. All you got to do is have 1 bad race, and that kind of changes everything. In the sportsman class right now, you've got Steve McPhee on top of the points. Jason Morris runs well every week. Paul Morris has been picking up. I believe he's 3rd in points right now. And Kyle Hines is usually one of the top runners, but this year he's had a couple of car problems. So I would say this year you're going to probably look at either Steve McPhee, Jason Morris, or Paul Morris will be your top. I would say it's probably who you're going to look at as being a champion.
Yeah, well, so far the season's been going pretty good. I managed to keep my car going, so that's the main thing. If you can finish every race, usually you can finish pretty well in the points and keep up with everyone. So.
This year has been the worst season.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope your luck turns around in these last 3 races.
Well, I hope so too, because it seems like the last most of the year here, I started off with my sportsman this year and had bad luck, so I had to put that car, put it away and trying to sell it, and then I went back to 4-cylinder and haven't had good luck since, but we'll see what happens, I guess, and we'll go from there.
Favorite memory of the track?
Favorite memory would have to be my first win and my wife and my son giving me that first flag.
Probably the first time I come out.
Oh yeah?
Meeting everybody, being nervous, trying to learn the track, and never been here before.
Each time we come to the racetrack's kind of a new memory. You make memories with different drivers and hopefully make some friends. with the place, and yeah, it's just a great atmosphere down here.
Favorite memories of this track is just, I guess, every race you win is a good memory, I guess.
Yeah.
Just the camaraderie, and just everybody seems to get along pretty good here, and it's just fun. It's a fast track, one of the fastest ones in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
It's good.
Jeez, I have so many memories here. I can't even tell you what my favorite one would be, honestly. I mean, there's so many of them.
Just list some of the ones that come most to your mind.
I mean, I imagine the one that goes most in my mind is me and Steve McPhee racing side by side for like the 5 last laps of the race, hitting, bumping, and grinding. And when it was all said and done, we finished like this. I think Steve won, I finished second, and we went up there for victory lane, and we both had smiles right up to our ears. That's probably the biggest memory I have.
Oh man, I think my favorite memory was probably 5 years ago. I was racing with Dominic Hanna, Shake and Bake, and we were neck and neck in the points. And I remember the last race, me and him, we battled it out, and I came in first, but on top of the grandstands right there, we were taking our trophies at the end of the year, and we had bottles of champagne, and we had showers with champagne. That was probably the best memory at the track. It was real fun. Real fun.